On the Radar's own,
Gabe.
my guy Gabe is here.
Yes, sir. My guy, pleasure to be here, man.
Nice to meet you, brother.
First of all, nice to finally get up with you, man. I was telling you, we met real quick at the BT Media House this weekend.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give you your flowers because the No Jumper interview that you had did with Adam like a long time ago. Well, not it was like a year ago,
like
right?
a year and a half
Like
ago.
a year and a half ago. Yeah. I really like watched and dissected that interview so much because a lot of the stuff that you were going through with this podcast is like I felt like I was also going through at the times with On the Radar. You know, being affiliated with a radio station, but your podcast not entirely being affiliated with the station, and you know, just having that like synergy and a lot of the things you said in that like kind of really helped me and kind of like my thought process of like, okay, this is how I should move with On the Radar going forward too. So I want to thank you for that.
All good, man. So for people who don't know, so your roots are in radio.
Yes, my roots are in radio. I started off at St. John's in Queens with along with Nyla, who's also on Power. Angie Martinez came to the radio station for her book tour. Me and her both interviewed her, and then the rest is like pretty much history. Angie picked us up.
Like took a liking to you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Angie took a liking to us. She literally just picked us up out of the radio station and then brought us to Power 105. And then I was an intern at Power 105 for the rest of my college career until like pretty much right before I graduated. And then I took a full-time position as like I ran all their social media. So I took a full-time position before I graduated to stay in the building.
So you were the social guy.
I was a
at
social
the station officially.
I was a social guy at the station before anything. So I ran the social media up until last August when I left because, you know, the show was doing what it was doing. Yeah, everything was going what it was doing.
And then you weren't you doing like something with Charlemagne, a Marvel podcast?
Yeah, we had
a few episodes. You guys didn't do too many episodes.
We did like 17. We did like
17.
We did like
shit, that's a lot.
Yeah, we did like 17. It was called Comic Kings, and it was just that like had spawned out of when I was an intern. Charlemagne and I would just talk about like the different comic book movies that we were watching. So like I remember like one conversation me and him had. It was like Logan had came out, and we were just having a debate about the movie, and then somebody at the station was like, "Y'all should do a podcast together." So like, you know, on my time off and his time off, you know, after Breakfast Club, we would just shoot it, and then the pandemic came, and then he got his show, and then everything just kind of got super busy. But honestly, like that was such a great opportunity, and it's when we still see each other, like we talk about like the nerd shit, like we love that.
So for you, like you say, were you with Angie like every day, like Monday through Friday?
Yeah, every day for many years.
What was because Angie's obviously, I've met her a few times, and she always is so fucking like, you know, before I met her, I was just assumed she had this aura around her, but she's so nice. Like she's like super, 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 super sweetheart. What was for you being around the voice of New York? What'd you learn, man? What'd you take away? The one thing. I mean, I'm sure you learned a million things, but you know, I'm sure. Is there one or two things that you kind of apply to what you're doing right now?
I feel like the one thing that I always tell people I took away from being around Angie was like how important relationships are in this industry, right? And I learned this with Angie when I was working her digital side. Like, you know, like if I'm trying to think of it, like let's say like I worked the 6ix9ine interview for an example, right? Like I would think about like, I thought from a young person's perspective, I'm like, what headline could we put this on YouTube that will get the most clicks? And then Angie would always reiterate to me, it's not about always what's gonna get you the most clicks, but like, or like what's gonna be messy or what's this, but she's like, you gotta remember that like building relationships over time is important. She's like, you know, you don't wanna just go right for the clickbait stuff and then you burn a bridge with somebody.
Right.
And as I got older, I started realizing how important that is, because a lot of the, you know, media now, oftentimes people wanna go right for clickbaity headlines, this and that. But then you don't, you know, those same, you know, YouTube pages or whatever, like they don't think about like the long-term, implications of that. You know, you kind of burn bridges or you burn relationships. And I just, you know, I remember I was at a party, I think it was like Angie and Angela Yee's like day off. I think that's what they called it. And it was like in the wintertime, it was around their birthdays. And I remember just seeing like everybody in the room with them. Like I saw like Joe and a bunch of other like people who've just been around them for X amount of years. And I'm like, you know, you think about the relationships that they built over these periods of time and how they wouldn't be around now if they had, you know, had like that clickbait mentality, like, oh, I gotta ask them some crazy shit just to get, you know, 100K views, because sometimes those 100K views ain't worth the relationship being broken. You know, I tell Ars all the time, like, I'd rather mess with y'all for like 5 to 10 years and us do this a million times than me just get 100K views off of you one time and then now we beefing and we don't like each other no more.
Yeah, I've had that. I just went back on Fig, man, and fucking whoever T-Rose guy is fucking mislabeled some clip And I had to hit him like, bro, this wasn't said. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
He's like, bro, my bad. Let me fix it. But I just, yeah, I think, you know, there's definitely, for you, I feel like you don't do messy shit, which is important, you know?
Yeah.
And we try not to do messy shit over here. I mean, we just interviewed Krishan Rock and Blueface. Or not Krishan Rock.
Blueface and his baby moms.
Jaden and Alexis.
Yeah. I was watching that before I came here.
That was messy for sure.
That was definitely messy. But that's not you trying to be messy. Like, you're just doing the interview. Like, it's like, you're not the messy one there in this case. You're just asking questions that people want to know.
For sure.
And it's not like you're not purposely, like.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's an interesting conversation. Like,
right.
We're the first interview to do both of them together, and, like, people are interested in them, you know?
No matter how many times I mute Blueface's name from my timeline, somehow him and Krishan always pop back up.
It will always pop up, man.